Folks, welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk. It's Treasure Talk. And we're rocking.
Welcome, friends. Welcome to another exciting edition of Treasure Talk. So I guess, Jeff, we're live now, and we'll just get started.
When you see your pretty face,
yes, absolutely.
When you say, here's the clue. When you see your pretty face and my old homely old ugly mug, we're live.
No, we got a face like Butch says, a face. We have faces for radio.
Well, mine is for the post office wall mostly, I think.
That's what Bush says. He says he has a face for radio. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started here, folks. Today's show, of course, is brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. And the views, thoughts, opinions expressed by Treasure Talk guests and members belong solely to the guests and members and not necessarily to Myers Metal Detectors, Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, or Jeff Monin. And of course, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of treasure hunting and metal detecting and to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And we have a special guest tonight, and it's going to be great. So welcome aboard, folks. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy, everybody. We're glad that you are with us tonight. And just kind of running down through the chat, I see a couple of names that I'd never seen before. We want to welcome you. And they were on YouTube. And we want to welcome everybody from Facebook and YouTube, both Facebook Treasure Talk group and the Blue Spade Society and the YouTube Treasure Talk. So we got a really good show tonight, I think. It's somebody that everybody loves. I know we certainly do. And he's entertaining, and it's going to be a great, great evening tonight. And just to let you know, I'm already working on 2022 for guests, and I've got a couple really good ones lined up already for the month of January. So we're going to start the year out with a bang-a-rooney. So with that all being said, let's just get right down to it, and let's bring our guest for the evening in. You all know him. Many of you have met him, but he is a legend in our minds as well as his own and every place else. Let's bring in, from American Digger magazine, Butch Holcomb.
What can I say but aw shucks with that intro, man? How's everybody doing tonight? How's the weather down there in sunny Florida?
Well, it's cold today.
Yeah, it's cold here in Georgia.
He's not in Florida.
He's in North Florida.
He's
down
in
in Central Florida, it was probably 85, 86 today,
Yeah.
maybe a little higher.
Yeah.
But the past couple days, it was a little cooler than normal. And that, I guess it was around 80,
Yeah,
84.
I got a long sleeve. See?
You got your long sleeves out.
My high today was about 75.
That's good hunting weather, though. I mean,
Yes.
when it starts cooling off, I like to.
Yes, I was out dirt digging, which I try not to do unless it's in the low 80s or 70s. And actually, I'm trying to pull up Facebook because Jocelyn has taken the Facebook questions. So hopefully she'll get them on Treasure Talk Facebook. So if you have some questions for Butch, please just type them on Facebook if you're on Facebook.
Do I have to actually answer all of them?
Oh, most of them.
Just see what the questions are.
I'm sure
Only
they're
the
gonna.
ones about your bank account and stuff. You know.
I've already given that to a Saudi princess this morning that wanted my Social Security
Well,
bank account.
at
I'm
least
getting
he
$1 million,
wasn't.
guys. I'm going to retire.
Yeah,
I hear you.
at least he wasn't
I
a
hear you.
Nigerian. So, but
Well, the latest scam, I don't know if you've gotten it or not, Phil. I got supposedly an email from Social Security wanting to tell me about all my benefits, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
So,
just hit that number if it comes up like that.
Okay.
But that one is on right now. All righty. Well, let's go ahead and get started. For folks, I just have this one here is a rare copy of Butch's magazine.
Oh, it is. That's the sold out issue. Have you still got any of those down at the shop?
No, no, that's just
Nobody
mine.
does.
I have mine.
Anybody that has one needs to hang on to it, man. That's going to be worth more than the first edition, I think.
Yeah, that's a collector's item there, and I'm not
Yes.
parting with it. But I have
What
it.
a
I
story.
actually have two copies. I have one at the shop that Joe and I use because people ask, "Does anybody find treasure today on the
That's a
beaches?"
good example.
And that is an example that happened. I guess this past year, and because it's just cool that people can still find
Yeah.
treasure. We're looking for relics most of the time, but they can find treasure on the beach. It's done.
It amazed me when I first found out that stuff like that could be found on beaches under the right conditions. I mean, I knew you could find it diving if you found the wrecks, and that sort of thing was a possibility. But on the beach never occurred to me until a few years ago.
Right.
And what proof that is.
And also you find besides the gold and the silver, all the other relics that come with that. Iron objects, because over on those beaches, and Jeff I know is going to be heading over there, and he'll be digging everything. You dig on those beaches, they dig everything because you just never know what it could be. Even
Well,
if
I hunted down below St. Augustine. I think it was Sebastian, somewhere around there or something. The guy took me out to the beach one time and told me, he said, there's shipwreck stuff that washes up on shore. And I'm like, yeah, right. And
no, it does.
first
Every
thing I
once in a
dug
while.
was the flat button from the early 1700s. I'm like, whoa, this was on the beach. And then the next thing I dug was a clad quarter. So,
yeah, it could
but
be
still,
all
it's beaches. That's what it is.
yeah, it could be all mixed up. And those beaches that could have washed in 200 years ago. It's
Yeah.
some 300 years ago in a hurricane. Could have washed in 200 years ago, and it's just been buried under sand.
Well, I think the fellow that took me out there told me there were like 5 different shipwrecks, within a pretty close distance of the shore there. And they dated all the way to, I think one of them was back to the Spanish times, all the way up to one that was late 1800s.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the east coast of Florida is just littered with shipwrecks of all different time periods.
Well,
But,
I'll be down there in mid-November hunting with the master of the Treasure Coast, Terry Shannon. You know Terry, don't you, Butch?
yes. Wow.
Yep, we're going down there. I got a thing set up. We're going to do a Treasure Tales episode from Sebastian, and it's going to be a
that'll
hoot.
awesome.
Well, Terry's going to be there and Captain Fizz.
Oh, yes, I know Fizz. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's there'll be a little cocktail hour and dinner beforehand, so it's liable to be a hoot and a holla.
You guys hang around with some people that are really big deals. I don't know how I got on the show, but thank you.
oh, you're a big deal too.
I'm gonna be a star when I
That
grow up.
costly. It didn't cost me that much.
All right, so let's get started with some questions here. First, Butch, why don't you tell everybody when you started the magazine? I'll make this a long question. When you started, I know all these answers, but for our members and guests who are watching, what year you started? What got you into doing the magazine? And go with it from there. Oh, and where are you located at?
Okay, let's see. We'll start with the last first. Our home base is north of Atlanta, Georgia. I say we're in the suburbs, which means we're 50 miles out from Atlanta. But we're in North Marietta, if anyone knows the geography around here. Okay. Now, that's just where Anita and I are located, and we have an assistant here that also works in our office. we have staff all over the world, though. We got one staff member who works for the State Department who just transferred from Argentina. So we're going to have an Argentina representative on the magazine for a while. I started it, it was, 17 years ago, Anita. 17 years ago, we started the magazine, and it was after I was freelance writing for another magazine. And I had a book come out at that time called Never Mace a Skunk. It's got a picture of a skunk on the front with a metal detector. So, it's something everyone should have. But anyway, I was on a so-called book tour with that, going around to some, shops like yours and yours field and all that. And I'm signing books and thinking it was really cool. And I'm like, this magazine I've been freelance writing for, they're located here. I'm going to call them up and go by their offices. And so I called up. The actual editor answered the phone, which I'm like, wow, that's hands-on service. And I'm expecting some kind of office building or something. And so the editor gives me the address, and she said, give me 10 minutes, which I'm figuring, wow, she's in some kind of important meeting. Anyway, I go, this is in a residential area, and they have all the computers set up in a living room, and it's where they live. And I look at Anita, and Anita looked at me and was like, we could do this. And on the way back, it was about an 8 or 10 hour drive back, and we talked about it. By the time we got back home, we already had the name picked out. We had a general concept of what the magazine was going to be, and it went from there. And originally, I wasn't really thinking big originally. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of detectorists out there. But before the first issue of the magazine came out, which was about a year after we made the commitment to do it, we already had 500 paid subscribers subscribing to the magazine, which is kind of cool because those people didn't know us and know we were going to give them a magazine, but they just believed in us, and we believed in them. And I had to quit my day job within that first year because there was no way to keep up both.
Right.
I chose the way that made me most happy because it's connected to metal detecting and digging stuff. And that's what I'm all about. Still do it, always will.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess your American Digger is the last treasure hunting magazine in print today.
It is. There's one that's devoted to all Civil War relic hunting, which really kind of limits it. Of course, we're everything.
Right.
But we are the only everything magazine in the U.S. Now, I know overseas there's Searcher and possibly a few others that are still in print. But print is a very, very expensive thing. You got to be really committed to do things in print, but we're committed to it. We do offer digital. If people want digital, we've got that too.
Right.
But most people that are old school or my age actually prefer having a magazine they can hold and read and keep and look back on.
Absolutely. And it makes it nice. I mean, I started out in the printing business, so I want paper in my hands.
Yeah,
I just like the images. The print quality of that is just superb. And for any person who is a collector into digging or artifacts or anything, should subscribe to American Digger.
Well, we make our magazine a high enough quality that the main goal is to not only provide entertainment, but to provide a reference for people that they can look back through. And that's why we make our magazine such high quality. We're not trying to show off. We're just trying to make them last.
And it is a reference guide. You could
it is, yeah.
And I love the what's it and people trying to stump your guys there.
Oh, yeah, Charlie Harris and his crew.
And the image quality is just exceptional.
The great thing about the print, Butch and Phil, is that if you are lucky enough to get something in the magazine, you got proof, you got your bragging rights right in your hand, and you can show all your friends, here I am.
What that section is, for anybody not familiar with the magazine, there's about 12 to even 14 pages sometimes of color pictures of things that people have found throughout the U.S. and occasionally from abroad. And it's like, and not only are those in color in the print, but when you have that artifact, imagine having that coin or that artifact or that piece of jewelry or whatever it is in a case displayed with a picture of it in a international magazine.
Right.
Just that's cool. And it's we're open to everything. If you found it within the last 6 to 8 months and you think it's pretty neat and your friends thinks it's pretty neat, then send it to us. It doesn't matter what era or what time period.
Yeah, I just think it's awesome. If you dug it, send a picture
Yeah.
of it in, and to me, it's just an awesome magazine. So if you're a serious treasure hunter, or even you're not so serious, that is a reference magazine to have. Absolutely.
You know what we could do if you want to
YouTube.
tonight, guys? We could give away a subscription to someone.
Sure, I've got the names already taken care of, Butch. We'll do it.
All right, you're on the ball, Jeff.
He's always
Yeah, I
on
tell you
the
what, we got a question from YouTube from Joe De Papo
Yeah, hey,
Vizzi.
Joe.
He's quick. He's a quick question because Joe's a quick guy.
I'll give a quick answer.
How many copies do you print per month is what he wants to know.
Yes, that's the quickest answer I know. It makes no sense, but how many copies a month do we print?
Yep.
Usually about, Anita would have to answer that. I'm guessing around 5,000 to 6,000 copies a month.
Yep.
Probably 5,000. That takes care of our subscriber base and also gives some extras to keep in the archives and in the back issues. Now, if you decide that you like our magazine and you go back and find other issues, there's a lot of those that we actually still have. We don't do second printings, but we do stick them back, and we've got some going back to the first year of the magazine. So that's kind of cool to look back on it.
We got another question off YouTube from Pacific Northwest Dirt Fishing.
Mhm.
That's a couple, Ronnie and Tiffany Calhoun from out in Oregon, that have got a really great YouTube channel, and they're blowing it up. And they want to know how they can subscribe, whether, probably both digital and
I'm
print.
glad you asked that. Okay, everybody get their pens and pencils ready, or somebody put it up in the chat room. But they can call Monday through Saturday. We're not open at night. I'm just in the office doing the show tonight. But 770-712. Oops, Anita said that's wrong. 770-362-8671. Now, I almost gave out my wife's personal cell phone on an international treasure show. So let's be glad we didn't do that. That's the office number, 770-362-8671. Or another great way to do it is to email Anita, 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 at AmericanDigger.com. She can fix you up with a subscription. And also, if you just want to bypass all the middlemen, go to the website, AmericanDigger.com. And there's a place on there to subscribe to either digital or print or both. And it's $38.95, I believe, for 1 year of print, and digital is $19.95, Anita. Yeah. $19.95. You notice I have to ask my wife all the important questions because,
Well, that's the way it should be.
That's exactly right. I know how to make a lady happy. You just let her answer the questions.
And we'll get all this posted on the Treasure Talk and
Yeah,
Blue Society
it's
Facebook page.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's already in the live feed. Mark Hoover posted the AmericanDigger.com.
By the way, if you can get an issue with Mark's article in it, my gosh, that's the one you held up, I believe, earlier.
Yes, it is.
That's one he bought about 150 copies.
No.
He's black marketing them for $200 a copy, I think.
Oh,
I don't know how many copies we had print of that issue, but we actually did print more than we normally did because people ahead of time were finding out about it and saying they wanted to sign up for the magazine or get the issue. So
yes,
we actually increased our print run, and it still sold out in, my gosh, within just a couple of months.
All righty. Well, let me get started on some questions here that Jocelyn just handed me off Facebook. And this is from Debbie Edwards, and she's asking rather. Sorry.
Hey, Debbie.
the deepest you had to dig to find the good stuff.
Wow, it's well, you guys know this as much as I do. Deeper doesn't always mean better as far as relics, or coins for that matter. But the deepest I've ever dug for anything, I dug about 2.5 feet deep one time, and that was to get a cannonball. And I actually saw another guy dig a cannonball that was about 5 feet deep. He was using a special machine with a giant garbage can coil on it. I call it garbage can lid, but it's about a 20-inch coil. This was back years ago. I'm talking about probably in the 70s. But what had happened, a farmer had found a cannonball, and we think threw it down a stump hole to keep it safe. And that's why it was so deep, because there was no artillery that was fired in that area.
Oh, okay.
But you know, most average finds that I've ever found, and I'm talking good stuff, is generally a foot or less. You know, it just depends on where you're at, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've
Now-
got a question from YouTube from
Mhm.
Shannon Bortner.
Hey, Shannon.
Wants to know, can you order back issues?
Oh, yes, you can order back issues. Absolutely. The number I gave before or the email I gave before is the easiest way to do that. Although you can go on the website and get them. But when you do, we have to figure shipping separately, because if the way the website, unless we've changed it, it actually charges so much shipping per magazine. And if you order multiples, you can combine shipping. So always
Okay.
get in touch with us if you're going to order more than 1 or 2 issues.
And we got another quickie off
Mhm.
YouTube from Mark Fiorella. He wants to know, which detector is your favorite?
Oh, wow. I know that's going to get me
That's
in
where I
trouble.
was going to next.
I
So
can,
that's good.
I can tell you the ones that I generally use is I've got a Mine Lab. I've got Garrett. By the way, Garrett is actually the AT Max is actually my favorite for water hunting. I know a lot of people like the Mine Lab Knox better, but for some reason I just like that Garrett. For land detecting, especially like relic hunting, I love my XP Deus. I can get most depth on XP Deus. In fact, Debbie, I think it was, that asked the question earlier about how deep you can get a relic. The first relic I dug with the XP Deus was a brass trigger guard from a trade musket. And I mean, that sucker was a big chunk of brass. It was probably 8 inches long, 7 or 8 inches long. And it got down so deep that the fella that was helping me dig it, we just started hacking away at the ground because we thought it was some farm equipment that got dumped. And it was actually that trigger guard, and that was about 18 inches deep. And that was with a standard coil. That made me a believer in the Deus.
And that
And
was
the Nota's good too. Those are great machines.
now, Butch, I was reading in your book, and I found it quite humorous. I think
Thank you.
I read it in the magazine earlier about the new detector Jinx that you have.
Mm. Yes. You'll either, if you get a new detector, you will either find the best relic or best coin or best whatever you found within the first trip, probably, or you're not going to find anything for a year, and then suddenly it'll come back and you'll find plenty. But you know, that's the way it is anytime detecting. But yeah, that's there's also such a thing as the relic jinx. And when I say relic, you know, coins, whatever you're digging. That's when you plan on going out hunting. You go out the first day, the first hole you dig something incredible. And then after that, nothing. It's like a teaser. Nothing else is there. So had that happen plenty of times.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah,
then
your
also,
friend gets everything and gives you the mumbles.
That's
yeah,
right.
there you go. And the number 2 on that was the no detectors pinpoint the same. They all pinpoint differently. No,
Isn't that the absolute truth? And you know, that's one reason I've started I get the signal and just get a general idea where it is, and then I pull out my Garrett what is it, the Garrett carrot, and start swinging around. That's the best way to pinpoint for me. And I used to hate pinpointers, but it seems like the detectors in the last 5 or 10 years have gotten, for me at least, harder to pinpoint with. I'm sure other people would say different.
yeah, it just when you got a new one, it takes a while to learn that.
Oh, it does. And that's something I want to warn people against is constant swapping of detectors. The best thing you can do when you get a detector, even if you got 3 or 4 detectors, when you get a new one, spend time learning how to do it. Learn the sounds, learn the nuances of it, because unless you get lucky, you're not going to find a lot till you learn that detector. But I don't care if it's the latest, greatest detector everybody's harping on. If you don't know that machine, you're going to find more with your old machine. So
Absolutely.
that's very important.
I'd agree with that. Hey, I did want to ask you this question. Jocelyn just handed me. Are you doing any shows in South Carolina in January? This is
Oh, yeah.
coming from Mark Hoover. And
Yeah,
also, are you also planning to do the Florida Hunts 8?
Yes, I'm planning on going back to that. I went to 7. Now, let me say I'm planning on it because I don't actually keep my schedule. That's something our assistant does. But that's my plans to go to that. And as far as the South Carolina show, we are doing that. It'll be, my gosh, I don't know, our 5th or 6th year of doing it, something like that. And that's January the 15th and 16th. Usually that show is New Year's weekend, but New Year's Day falls right on the setup day, and it wasn't going to work out, so we moved it for this year only. So that's the middle of January. And you know, there's also one that we put on, and we do all of it. I mean, it's American Digger event up at Chattanooga. In let's see, I think the next one is I don't know what it is next year. It's usually the last weekend in July. And that has become a huge show in just the last 4 years. I mean, that's bigger than the Charleston show. So,
Okay.
depending on where you live, go to either one of us, look, or either one of them. You'll see me probably when you come in, and get ready to be amazed, because there's something for everybody at those shows.
Absolutely. And then we had this question from Ray Goodall.
All right.
And he's asking for the best areas in Atlanta to dig where you can find Civil War sites.
The way it is now, anywhere you can actually find original dirt, because they destroyed Atlanta so much. Most of the better spots are north of the Chattahoochee River, and most of those are going to be considered hunted out by anybody that does a lot of detecting. But here's the thing to watch out for, and that is when they start construction at a site where there's a known Civil War camp, known house place, even a known old road that went through a place will have houses and all along it. When they start construction, things come up out of the ground that people couldn't find before. And that's how you hunt a hunted outside. If they ever move the earth around, then that's when you get in there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it looks like on Facebook, Mark Hoover says if you ever get a chance to try to go to one of American Digger show, you will see some amazing stuff.
Mark can tell you. I'll put it this way: that's the only place I ever saw a vampire killing kit. I kid you not, it was a mid 1800s vampire killing kit, and it was $2,000 or $3,000. Now, a lot of the stuff there is not things that we dig out of the ground. It's things people found in closets, etc. But there's also mostly things that have been dug up. There's a lot of displays. There's a lot of stuff for sale. There's metal detector dealers. In fact, at the Chattanooga show, Mind Lab, actually, Debbie came down and actually had a Mind Lab detecting camp set up outside. Nice. Where people could go and try the latest machines, and that was a big hit. I look at probably more vendors starting to do that.
Yeah. Well, I love the shows. And are there bottles there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's bottles too. It's I would be hard pressed to think of something that wasn't there somewhere, except you know, what we try to do is we try to limit things to World War II or earlier. You know, whether it's civilian or just to keep flea market type items out of the place, and also to keep it for just being a gun show. There's antique weapons there if that's what you want to look at, but there's no modern ones.
Okay, nothing modern.
No, there will be no Beanie Babies at any of our shows either. If you see Beanie Babies at our show, let me know. I'll ban the dealer.
If they're saying they're too much money.
Let's see. No, if you write it out, I could do that. Butch, also, the shows, the entrance fee, how much is it to get into it?
It's $10 for adults, and kids, I believe it's under 12, get in free with an adult.
Oh, okay, awesome.
And that's just to keep from groups of kids coming up and getting in free with unsupervised.
Right, yeah, you don't want that.
We're not the babysitter.
Right, especially with fragile artifacts and
Oh,
bottles
yes.
and glass and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Every once in a while, you were talking about are there bottles at these shows? Every once in a while, it's the normal chatter throughout the hall, that kind of that white noise you hear,
yes,
talking it up. And every once in a while, very rarely, thank goodness, you'll hear the sound of glass shattering.
shattering.
And
Yes.
suddenly the whole hall will go silent.
And then somebody screaming.
Yeah, well, occasionally the screams too, but it's the worst trick. If you ever want to prank somebody, the worst trick you can do is sneak up behind their table of bottles and have a bag of glass and just drop it.
That's too mean.
It is.
I did I used to do it. Well, they haven't had it in a couple of years. The St. Pete Antique Bottle Show.
Oh, yeah.
I just always loved that. It's just fun, just
I love
looking at all the different stuff that's been dug, because a lot of it's been dug. I mean,
Yeah.
I mentioned there's some modern stuff, but most of it's been dug. But I always liked doing that. And like you said, every once in a while you'd hear that shattering glass.
Which is why I don't spend a lot of money on bottles. I don't
Me
collect
neither.
bottles. Even if I dig them, I'll keep them. But I was at the National Antique Bottle Federation show one year as a guest representing the magazine, and I saw a fella that had some historical flask. He didn't have them under lock and key or anything like that. He had them sitting there on his table, and here's the floor that's like linoleum, and there's some of these flasks priced $400, $500, $600, and they're kids in the hall. And I'm thinking, oh, if that was my stuff, it wouldn't be like that. It would be wrapped up where it couldn't fall.
Yeah, I get real nervous with that.
Yeah.
One of the guys in our metal detecting club, which is actually meeting this Tuesday night, that's the West State Archaeological Society.
Mm.
And the meeting is actually on bottles, so this is a perfect segue. Charlie Livingston, and he has some, $2,000-$3,000 bottles and up. I mean, some of the high-end bottles. And he goes and does all the bottle shows. And since he's retired, he does that a lot. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, and you want to know anything about antique bottles, come to the West State Archaeological Society meeting Tuesday night. For sure, it'll be a fun time. It's nice that the clubs are starting to meet back up again.
Amen. That's something I cut my teeth on clubs when I first got into this hobby. Now, I actually got into it about, 68 or something. And I didn't know about clubs for the first 3 or 4 years. We didn't have them. But I was actually a charter member and signed the constitution of the club that started here back in, I think, 1970. I believe it was the first club in this part of Georgia. But I have been a firm believer in clubs ever since. That is so good to get with the people that you're networking with people that love the same thing you do.
Absolutely.
And plus doing some good for the community if you're in a good club. So I can't recommend it enough.
They don't know here.
All right. And folks, just a reminder, Jocelyn is on Facebook taking questions, and Jeff, of course, is on YouTube taking the questions. So if you have a question, just write them in, I guess, and we'll see if we can't read them.
Yeah, well, I see them both. I see all the questions, but I don't want Jocelyn to be mad at me, so I'm not taking the Facebook one.
Don't take
That's
it.
top security, John.
You better not take my questions.
Hey,
But,
I have had her mad at me before, and trust me, it's not something that's desirable.
It's not pretty. That's true. You don't want her mad. I don't want her mad at me.
Judging this conversation, pro or con. I want to sleep inside tonight. My wife's listening to this show.
We did have a question on here. I guess it was a comment that somebody didn't want to day us because they thought it was too expensive.
They're expensive, and,
Yes.
and they have a steep learning curve. They are not easy. But figure, how much do you love the hobby? I'm not saying, we all love the hobby, but if it's not worth it to you, then it's not worth it to you. And that's okay. You're going to find a lot with a $500 or $600 metal detector. No big deal. But in my opinion, I'm going to find more with my Deus in most situations.
Yeah,
Because
and the
it
thing
has
of it
that extra sensitivity that you can miss if your detector goes down 10 inches and there's something at 10.5 inches, then you're not going to find it. Just look at it that way.
So it's worth that money to do that.
I think it
especially-
is. And it's always a personal choice. Now, something I tell people a lot of times, if they're concerned about the pricing of a detector,
Mhm.
buy a used detector and buy it from, you know, a store like yours or somebody that actually carries some used detectors.
Yes.
But just buy one of the top brands, one of the brands you would recommend or somebody else would. That's the main thing. And you'll get it at a lot cheaper price.
Right. And
Now, another thing about the Deus, and I'm not hard selling the Deus, but I forgot about this, and I think other detectors are starting to do this now. But instead of having to go out and buy a new detector when the technology changes, Deuses actually can be downloaded from the internet, the most recent updates of them. So
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of them are doing that.
that
Yeah.
is a nice feature.
And the thing about the Deus, if you are, if you've got a year or two under your belt detecting, the Deus is not going to be that steep a learning curve because you already know something about tones.
Now,
And
this is
plus,
true. Yeah.
if you read the manual.
if you read the manual,
One of my favorite things.
that's what I hear Jocelyn take the phone calls, and she's always saying, "Have you read your manual?" Because,
Read your manual.
but the Deus is a very deep and it's a very fast processor in it.
It
And
is. I
that's
really
like
like it. And
when-
the weight on it is almost nothing. I mean, it's,
Right.
I don't know what they weigh, but when you get to my age, weight is everything.
Weight's always important,
Yeah.
especially now in our hobby when we have so many ladies getting into the
Oh,
hobby.
yes. Perfect
It's
machine
perfect
for them.
for them, and because
Are you saying we're weak?
no, I'm not saying you're weak, but I say I like a
Who's
light.
in trouble?
I'm in
I'm
trouble
weak.
now. I want a light detector, and I go even to the point of putting a small coil on it.
I tell you what's going to kill me. I'm going up to the Dickingham, Virginia hunt up in Culpeper in a month or two. And the machine that works the best up there is MindLab GPXs, which compared to the Deus will seem like it weighs about 15 pounds. Probably does.
Yes.
So I'm not looking forward to that, although that's a tremendous machine. But that's another thing. Use what machine works, because sometimes if you're in bad soil or a salty environment, ocean water, things like that, some machines don't work as well as others. So that's something to really research.
Yes. When I was in Culpeper last time, now it's been a long time ago, I did one of the DIV hunts.
Mhm.
I think I met you there, Butch.
You know what? I believe so, Phil.
think
Yeah,
that's where we
that's
met.
the first time we met.
Yeah, White's had sent me one of their TDI Pros.
Yep, that was a good one at the time.
Yes, and that thing went incredibly deep, but the discrimination, of course, was little to none. Especially,
Uh,
and I didn't realize how many nails were in the ground.
Oh my gosh. When I quit using the White's TDI, like I say, it had no discrimination. And I started out using that before I went to the Mind Lab. And I was out hunting there, and I was wanting a buckle. I'd already seen 3 or 4 dug. And I couldn't find one. But if I was getting a big iron signal, there was too much farm crash in the ground. So I was walking on. Well, the guy had a sword belt plate he had found, with a spread eagle on it, rectangular. And I said, lay that down and let me run over it. And I ran over it. It was the exact same sound as a horseshoe, which I'd been passing up. And that's when I switched detectors. And that's nothing against White's. White's was actually the first good detector I ever had, was a White's Coin Master.
Yeah.
But and it's so sad they're out of business now. I'm glad Garrett bought them. I don't know if they're going to do anything with them or not, but they did buy some of the technology.
They've already started up on one of their gold detectors. They
Good.
start
Good.
making
It's
just
good to
rebranded
see that
it.
stay alive.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, we do have a comment here from Gary B. Gross.
Hey, Gary.
And he says, love American Digger magazine and wanted to know if there are any changes coming for 2022 or updates with the magazine.
Wow.
Keep up the great work.
I don't know. We have gone, of course, this was a move we made last year, but we've gone 100% color now. I can think of no changes that we have planned, but if the readers want to see something different, then what they need to do is give their input, and we'll go in that direction. Now, something I am planning, and I've been talking to the people at the Gold Prospecting Association. We're going to start having more gold detecting articles in the magazine. We're going to start out with an interview, probably with Kevin Hoagland, and try to take care a little bit more. The people on the other side of the Mississippi in gold, well, what I consider gold country,
Yeah.
know about the magazine much, but if it gets gold in it, they're going to start learning more about it.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
gold is exciting, man. That's real exciting to me.
We got a
But other than
question
that,
from
we're just going
YouTube.
to keep on keeping on. We're never planning to eliminate the paper magazine. You can't ever say never, but that is certainly not my plans. We're asked that a lot.
Yeah.
And
I
no,
love
'cause
the paper.
that's what I like reading. So that'll
Me
still
too.
be. Yep.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Old Pellon from YouTube wants to know, Butch, what is your thoughts on the Xporx?
I have not used it, and I know very little about it. I don't know. I would like to use one. I assume it's very similar to the Deus, and if it's anything similar to the Deus, then I'm all for it because I think that's great technology.
Yeah, it's an excellent detector. I know because I stocked that one in the shop, and it's just as lightweight. Uses a lot of the same coils. Doesn't have all the same features. It's not as I don't think it's for
Mhm.
new detectors. It's not as complicated. It's as easier.
That's actually a
Right.
plus. And I'll be honest with you, even on my Deus, I have one custom program maybe two custom programs that I had written for it. And then I use the fast program sometime with just very few modifications. And the rest of the programs, I don't use them. I mean, I think the deep program, there's one I use, but the other ones, I don't even use them. They're just not what I need.
Mm-hmm.
They're good to have if you want to, but yeah, you could get by with less.
Oh,
Absolutely.
sure. And the ORX it's a great detector. I think it's more for for relic hunting, coin shooting, this type of thing. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles or the customization that the
Yeah.
Deus does. It doesn't have all the programs and that the Deus does, but it does use all the same coils, the high frequency coils and the X35 coils, and it's equally as light and breaks down just as well. And it's it's a lot less expensive than a Deus. So
So
it's
there
a
you
great
go on
detector.
the problem with it being too expensive. There's always an alternative. Something I warn people against, though, I'm talking about new detectors here, and I've seen this happen so much. They're so concerned with price that they go to, I don't know if Walmart even sells them anymore, but they go to Walmart
Yeah.
or one of those type stores. They buy a detector that's got all these knobs and supposed whistle and bells on it, and they still spend $300 probably. And the detector is really, compared to other detectors, you could have done a lot better with a $200 Garrett. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
really.
Absolutely.
They get blinded by all the bells and whistles, and
Right.
folks don't do that. Go to Phil and get them, or go to somebody else that their main job is selling metal detectors.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I tell them, Butch. When
Yes.
people ask, what kind of detector should I get for I'm a newbie? What kind of detector
Yep.
should I get? I said, what you want to do is you want to call Myers and get some guidance. I said,
Exactly.
tell him what kind of hunting you're going to do, where you're located. Are you new? Do you know anything about it? And chances are you're not going to have to spend $1,000
That's right.
because Phil is one of the few in the whole dang country that does take trade-ins if it's in good
Yeah.
shape, and he can advise you, and he could maybe sell you a used one. It'll be just what you need to get started, and then you can always upgrade down the road
And
if you want.
Yes.
and that's one reason too that I really recommend. I mean, you can get metal detectors online from big superstores and all, and I'm not going to badmouth them. They have their place.
Right.
I still believe the best thing to do is go and buy it from someone that metal detects. If they don't metal detect and aren't willing to actually even go out with you if they have to show you the stuff, then don't buy it. Pay a little
Absolutely.
bit more and go to somebody like Phil.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Phil's going to tell you first thing you do is read the manual.
Well, that's right.
No, I'm going to give them a quick start, and then I'm going to give them certain detectors. We have a little guide printed up that we do ourselves just to get them out the door knowing something about the unit, because when they go home, they'll forget everything. I got a little quick start guide on one of the detectors. But speaking of detectors, Dave Seiler says, I have 4 detectors, and my daily user is one watching this show, the Fisher F-19. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
guys from Stealth Diggers, that's the one they use, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
19?
I've never used that one. I do use the F-75. I left that out earlier. I'd use it. That's my machine I use when I'm in heavy junk. I have different favorites in different situations.
Well, this one, I think the F-19 is, I've stocked that one too at the shop, is really good in iron, and it won't break the bank, and it's made here in the USA by Fisher Metal Detectors.
That's nice.
That is a nice one. So if you're a coin or relic hunter, you're new to it, consider that one. And it looks like Jeff's running the banner along the bottom. That means
He is.
somebody's going to be lucky tonight.
2 people are going to be lucky tonight because we're giving away Butch's new book, No, I Won't Shut Up. And we never want him to shut up, I must add. And he's also going to give away, you said it was a digital subscription or
No, you're going to actually give away a paper subscription to American Digger magazine.
Sweet.
Now, if you prefer the digital, we can fix you up with that. But why not go the whole hog here? So
That's right.
one
That's
of
right.
2.
So this is how we do it, folks. You registered on YouTube and you registered on Facebook. And I put all the names and I put them into a random comment picker and I pick the names. So here's how we do it. Once your name is called, you see the numbers scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You will have 3 minutes to identify yourself via Facebook Messenger or text, either Phil or myself. Don't just say I'm here because we don't know who you are. Put your name and I am here. Then what you must do is you must email all your information to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com, and we will get it to Butch and he will get your prizes out to you. So with that being said, the name that we are drawing for the book, No, I Won't Shut Up, and hopefully that you are here, is Catherine Hand Powell. If you are in the house, you just won a book, my dear.
Call up Catherine because I will autograph it especially for you.
Yes,
That's right.
What you want.
And also, the next one is for the subscription to American Digger magazine, and that is Shannon Bortner. If you are in the house, you get up with us. You know how to do it. You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
So
And
10 minutes till time's up.
I have to comment on the book. That book is a good read, and I think it's hilarious in spots. And I think it's metal detector humor.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's a what I can't think outside the box on metal detecting. If I'm gonna do humor, it's generally metal detecting.
Yeah, so you missed your calling. You should have been a stand-up.
Well, I'm a sit-down comedian, is what I tell everyone.
But
I'm
it's
too lazy to stand up all the time.
Yeah, it's hilarious, and especially when you're talking about getting the new detector, and then you said, and the next thing you need to do is get a bigger pouch.
That's exactly right. Always get a bigger pouch.
Get a bigger pouch because you're going to be digging a lot more and a lot deeper. And while you're learning it, you're going to be digging everything. That's why I tell
And you're gonna be digging more junk too, but hey, that means you're gonna be digging more good stuff.
absolutely, because
That's
sometimes
right.
you got to dig more to find more.
And you know, you're talking about humorous books. I don't know if you've ever seen them or not, but I have 2 books I came out with, Never Mace a Skunk and Never Mace a Skunk 2. And those are actually illustrated metal detecting humor. And on the cover of both of these gives you an idea about the whole book, how lighthearted it is. There, on one of them, it's a skunk holding a metal detector, and on the other one, it's a guy running off, throwing his metal detector down with a skunk right behind him. So those books, though, the first one is very hard to find. I don't think it's back in print. It's sold. We don't actually sell it. I was published by someone else on it. And the number 2, we actually keep those in stock. And that one, though, is actually getting into the last of its pruning run. So we're going to decide whether to do more or not. But we actually have kind of a cult following on that book. There's one guy I talked to, he said he reads it every night. He reads one page every night. And I'm like, well, what'd you do when you got through with it? He said, I started over. I'm like, oh, bless your heart. I'm real sorry about that.
Yeah, I had read that on the back here about those other two books, and I had known that you had written.
You will get a chuckle out of them. And they're actually we had a cartoonist, Glenn Watkins, that took some of the stories and illustrated them. And there's some really hilarious pictures in there. I mean, just really funny pictures. So,
Yeah.
That's so that way when your eyes get tired with all the words, you can just look at the pictures.
Look at the pictures and laugh.
Yeah. And they're black and white too. So if you want to color with your crayons, you can do that. We have a lot of readers that use crayons.
Absolutely.
We have both our winners.
Do we have?
Hey!
Yep. Well, I tell you what, it was boom. They was ready. They was watching.
We'll
As
figure
they
this
know they have to be.
out one day.
That is awesome. And both winners are going to get an exceptional product. They're just great. I know because I have the magazines in the store, and everybody who buys them just loves them. I just think they're an awesome reference tool.
They are, and folks, if you didn't win, then this guy here that's on the left of my screen, Phil, he's the guy to get them from because he has the magazine. I think you had the books in stock at one time.
Yes, I do. I have some of these. I got a couple of these left, and I'll probably on my next order of magazines just have you throw in another dozen of those. So
we don't mind it at all, and they'll be signed if you want them that way too.
Yes, this one is signed here. So just so that the people say, that's what I like about selling the books in the store. I get them signed. So
exactly. And that's okay. This is available through Amazon too, but I'd really rather people order from you or myself or and Smoky Mountain Knife Works Relic Room. Anybody that's familiar with that up in Sevierville, Tennessee, right next to Dollywood, they just started stocking that book too. So it's available at more and more places, but those are all autographed. The ones on Amazon, I have no control over autographing them.
Yeah, that's the same thing we get with Terry Shannon. I always have him sign the books.
Yeah, to me, that's important. Every book, and I've got a whole lot of books that I buy, and I really like them to be signed by the author.
Absolutely, and then you can. It's just personal that way.
Yeah, it is exactly.
Did we have more questions, Josh? All right, well then I'll take over on some of my questions. All right, Butch. So, what is your favorite relic you've dug?
Oh wow, that still has to be the Georgia cartridge box plate. It's the state seal of Georgia. It's an oval. Anybody that did know Civil War relics would think it's a belt buckle, but the fasteners are different. It's the most perfect belt buckle I've ever dug, and I've dug close to 50, 45, 46. It was the first one I ever dug, and it is the rarity of it. There was 1,000 of them made like that. So there's only 1,000 of them ever existed. So that's pretty good for somebody to lose it in the dirt and dig it up later.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Okay. Now, if you had to put a value on that,
the actual value for one, the realistic value in that condition at this point is probably about $8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah. But honest to goodness, I don't think there's enough right now to make me get rid of it because it's the only one I'll ever find. I mean, the odds of finding two of them will be like lightning. So
yes.
And who knows, one day, I mean, I may sell my stuff off or pass it off, but I'm really hoping my daughter is a history teacher and she's shown an interest in it. And I'm hoping she'll take over the collection. And until then, it's on display, so.
We got a question off YouTube from Dan Uruso. He wants to know, Butch, do you still have the Graybird relics?
Yes, I do. And the website right now, though, is really funky. If anybody's having trouble with the website, I apologize. We're probably going to eventually take the website down and just do the selling at shows. But right now, it is still up. And before you actually buy something on it, though, come to us first because there's been a problem of things being sold at shows, or we have antique malls too, or being sold there. and it not getting taken off the website. And if you pay for it on the website, you might pay for something we've already sold, which we're going to make good on it. I mean, we're going to give you a refund, but it's just a hassle for you. So always call us before you order anything. Now, that may change. It's just we're stretched in so many directions right now. And I've actually started a book that Charlie Harris, who's our photographer for the magazine, and he's already had one very successful relic book out. He recently gave me 20,000 plus pictures to sort through. And we're going to do a huge book on Civil War relics throughout the western, or what, not western states, the southeastern seaboard, basically, or southeastern. And it's going to be huge. So I've been working on that in all my spare time.
How
Okay,
about
another question from YouTube from Pacific Northwest Dirt Fishers? They want to know if you have all. Oh, it says, does American Digger have all social media platforms?
We have Facebook, of course. We have a big presence on Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Riley Bryant taking care of our stuff. And I can't name all the social platforms we're on. Instagram, we're on Instagram, I believe. And I believe that's the only ones we're on.
Okay.
Butch, I had a question on out of print books, like the ones from Howard Crouch.
Uh-huh.
That's his name.
Yeah, Howard Crouch.
Yeah. Do you have any of those, or?
We have a very few. I'm not sure which titles we have. Anybody that's interested in them, though, be warned, because those books have skyrocketed, and if we have to pay a lot for them, then we're going to have to sell them for a lot.
Right, absolutely.
And that's one of the sad things. His books are not going to be reprinted, from what I understand. So if you do find one somewhere, whatever somebody wants for it, if you really want the book, you should get it.
Yeah, grab it. How about the one Albert's button book?
That book has recently come out of print, and it's gone through, I don't know how many printings. And there was actually a dispute somehow on who owned the copyrights, who bought the copyrights to that. And right now it is completely in limbo. I don't know if it's going to ever be reprinted again or not. I certainly hope so. We've sold every copy we have, except the one I use in my office. And for anybody that's wondering what we're talking about, that's this book right here. And it's really the Bible of buttons. It's there's another book by Tice that's more comprehensive for Civil War buttons, but Tice's books go for in excess of $150 and $200.
Right.
Albert's right now, we were actually selling them for, I believe, $25, but those days are long gone. I don't know what they sell for now.
Well, talking about relics, Butch, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. What is that, shield?
That is a carriage shield plate.
Wow.
From early 1700s. I dug that in England a few weeks ago.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, you went to England.
Yep.
I have never been to England. I just have not. And doggone it, when COVID clears up and everything's cool again, I'm going to make some time and go.
Well, I tell you what we could do. We'll get with you. I got an idea cruising around in my head.
Okay.
And maybe we can get something going here.
You know, your idea might be the same as mine, so we'll have to talk about that.
That's right. All kinds of ideas.
Oh, yeah.
All
but
right.
I really want to go, because to me, the older, the better.
Yeah, well, everything's old over there.
Yeah, I
you
know.
1800s and stuff. Hey, yeah, it's too new. Get out of here. You know.
I had a British detectorist, or actually several of them, one time wanting to come over and hunt Civil War relics, and I told him, I said, yes, I can take you out some places. I said, but you're going to be really disappointed, because it might take you all day to dig a handful of stuff, whereas in England you're going to dig, piles of it. It's all old. So they never did come, but maybe they came at one point with someone.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Butch, have you ever dug a gold coin?
No, I have not dug a gold coin, nor a gold nugget, either one, nor even a gold dental gold. I haven't even dug that, but I have dug rings and jewelry now.
Yeah.
No, I am still waiting on my gold coin. Have you guys dug one?
No, I haven't. I'm waiting. I
Yeah,
always
okay.
ask
It's
every
good. No, I'm
guest.
in good company. People that first get into this have no idea how rare and value it feels to dig a gold
Right.
coin. They didn't lose them. They rarely lost gold coins.
Right. Yeah, so it's just
Now
a
there's other people. There's a lady I know up in Virginia that actually dug two of them stuck together. So some people have the luck, but not me.
yes, absolutely. So I always have to ask that. But oh, it looks like it's getting to our time, isn't it,
It
Jeff?
is the witching
It is.
hour.
I got to
That's
go
right,
on.
time
I got to
flies
go
when
to
you're having
makeup
fun.
and go to my next show.
That's right. You got to grab a sandwich and get ready.
I
for
do.
Relic
Yeah, I
Roundup.
do. I'm gonna Monday night is our Taco Bell night because that's always an easy thing to do before Relic Roundup, which this is my podcast. So, folks, if you're listening to this, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, tune in, and we are at Relic Roundup, which is my long-running talk show.
Cool.
And that is well worth the listen, folks.
It
Make
is,
sure
man,
you
and
get
we're
her done.
you know, it's funny how people like us promote each other because we're all in this hobby because we just love the hobby. We can't
Oh,
get
it's just
enough.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best hobby ever. It's
Oh
fun.
gosh, yes.
Whether you're digging, collecting, or what you're doing, it's
Mhm.
just a neat hobby to do. That's how I got into it. So
Yeah.
I just love it. And with that, I guess I better say thank you, Butch.
Well, thank you guys.
And
Thanks
thank
to all the listeners tonight, and appreciate the winners calling in. Congratulations to you.
absolutely. Thank you for donating that. Thank you, Josh, for handing me the questions. And thank you, Jeff, for doing what you do, buddy.
All right, dude.
Yeah, thanks,
Well,
guys.
all I can say is, Butch, you are a legend, and it's just a treat every time you're with us on the show.
Look at my size. I like to say I'm kind of a big deal. No,
You're a legend.
because I'm
Like
big.
I said, you're a legend in my mind, Phil's mind, and all the viewers' mind.
All the
So you
viewers.
might as well be a
absolutely.
legend in your own mind. But we love you, and
We love y'all guys
American
too,
Digger,
man. And to everybody, hey, be good stewards in this hobby because what you do, you know, other people are watching. So
That's right.
Absolutely.
And American Digger is the last bastion of goodness in print for this great hobby. So, with that being said, we're going to sign off. Next week, it's going to be a really good show because I believe it's the Meteorite Man.
Oh,
And
Jeff
that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
you talking about Jeff?
No, Steve.
Steve.
Steve
Oh,
Arnold.
Steve. Jeff Scowhart, the other one on the
Steve,
show. Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Arnold.
Yeah,
the
those are both
Meteorite
great
Man.
guys. The
So it's going to
Meteorite
be a great show.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
So once again, folks, thanks for watching. I know we're running over a little bit, but that's okay. We love you, and thanks for watching. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Dig deeper, my friends. We'll see you guys. Happy hunting.